Hello everyone and welcome to what I'm probably going to call something along the lines of Getting Stuff Painted, a scenery special. I'm not going to count this as a proper new episode of the series because I prefer talking about miniatures for the most part, plus I don't paint a lot of scenery. It just so happens that a lot of stuff came together at the same time. I don't want this clogging up an episode where I have minis to talk about and things like that. So I thought, why not do just a smaller little aside to talk about a mixture of 3D printed stuff, official terrain, and third-party stuff that I've kind of customized a little bit. And it's probably not going to be that long. We're just going to cover this here to save time in the future for when I'm talking about more important things. But if you are curious about any of the scenery you see here today, this is the video for you. And with that, let's just get started with what I said I would be working on. This is the final bit of spiked wooden terrain that I have for painting for Warcry. Done exactly the same way all the other parts were. Rushed because I'm sick of doing them, quite frankly. But it's done. A mixture of Snakebite Leather, Leadbelcher, Skeletal Horde, and Nuln Oil. Unfortunately, the new Nuln Oil, hence why it's a little bit shiny. People did ask, did I accidentally buy the gloss Nuln Oil or anything like that? Nope, it is the shade one. Now, it is possible the wrong type is in the bottle. I have no way of knowing that. But that is it, finally done. I am free from these. I mean, they look fine. They look great actually, but it's just they're so tedious to do. But that is the last one. All that I've got left now from the Catacombs box for Warcry is a few leftover doors, and I think that might literally be it. So I've just got to work up the effort to paint some more doors, and then I can actually start working on the two warbands that came in that box. Although I'm going to be focusing on another easier to paint one first. But that is in there as a matter of note, since the theme here is scenery. It is done, and boy am I glad those are over with. So I've moved everything to one side so we can talk about the largest things here. What we have here is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trees. They are very light. It's 3D printed filament. It's super light. They weigh nothing at all each. I picked them up on eBay. I think there's a few sellers of them. I think it's mostly aimed at people playing Star Wars Legion because it's kind of got a Endor theme to it. But honestly, I just saw them as being perfect for just trying to create the feeling of a thick forest with just super huge trees surrounding everybody as they fight through it. Now, they came in plain brown, which you can kind of see. It's the lighter tone. But I wanted to make them look a little bit different, so I had a brown spray paint, so I kind of did reverse zenithal shading, where I didn't do a whole layer of shade and then angled brightness down, because they were already bright. So what I did was, I held them like this with a glove on, and angled down, and did a shadow up, if that makes sense. So the off brown you're seeing here, which is just the only shade I had available, so I used it, that was just to create a little bit of tone. A wash might make it better, but I'm worried about it just sinking into all the filament lines, so I haven't done that. And then on the top I did a little bit of Ulthwyn Grey to look like chopped trees for up above views. I think that's a bit too bright compared to the browns used. Might apply a wash to that, or a sepia tone, but that might bring it down too far. You're not really supposed to see those. It's to create the impression of trees that expand above the battlefield. They're super cheap. If you only want a few of them, they're less than £3. I think this whole set, I think that was about a tenner for all of them. But I could see you using them in Warcry. I could see using them if you're doing a forest setting, Crisis Protocol, anything like that fits your general skirmish game scale. So you can see hopefully why I didn't want this clogging up a normal Getting Stuff Painted. They're huge, but there isn't much to say about them. As I say, they're super light. They were super cheap, and hopefully they'll look nice in a forest setting. I hope to try them next time Warcry is fitted into the schedule. I'm going to move them out of the way now so we can talk about the other stuff. So next we have 2, 4, 6 generic fire markers and 2, 4, 6 ice markers for you to use as you please. And these came in plain orange. Hopefully that's picking up perfectly. They just came in plain orange and plain light blue. I actually have the box for them here. Not Dungeons and Dragons, Legally Distinct Terrain Crate Dungeon Adventures by Mantic Games, and it was getting sold off in the winter sale, found them online. I was like, you know, those generic kind of markers, I could see needing these or just using them at some point. So I picked them up. That's what they looked like. But I thought I want to try and make them look a little bit nicer. I feel like I went a bit overboard with the red on the flames. But in terms of being able to see them from a tabletop distance, like that one's not so bad. This one's a bit too red right there. But I just used a little bit of like just a generic Valero yellow paint, I believe, and then just a little bit of Bal red contrast on the top while it was damp to try and do a little bit of a blend. Didn't even do a base coat or anything like that. This one's got a bit too much yellow on it. I probably did this first because that is way too much yellow. And for the ice, I simply did a dry brushing of Ulthuan Grey, and that just helped the ice look more like ice, in my opinion. It's obviously the exact same mold. Like for these, it's just fire in blue, but in terms of like just looking like a chunk of ice, which I presume is for spells in D&D, I don't really know, I thought it looked kind of neat, and I thought it could maybe, if I do more like Mr. Freeze crew and Batman, it could be a nice frozen suspect marker icon that really stands out on video. Or just any game that's played in an icy setting, this could just be chunks of ice. Just cheap set dressing, as I say, it was getting sold off in a winter sale. I guess it's not going to be stocked again, but Mantic might sell it directly if you're interested. So as a matter of note, got those done, and you might see them in videos. So last but not least, numbered for your convenience, we have 6 teleporters that came with the character Weird Wendell for Riot Quest by Privateer Press. He comes in a scenery pack with these. You get everything you need for him to be playable, and these are just 3D set dressing compared to not having any tokens at all on the Riot Quest map. I think it helps for seeing the table at a glance to have these, but they're pretty nice. They actually came in blue plastic. A lot of the Riot Quest stuff is actually metal. Sometimes you get like a plastic limb, but most of it's metal, but these are not. These are plastic and blue plastic to boot, which I actually used to my advantage, because some of that blue you're seeing like on the gears and things and pulsing on the energy, that's just because I didn't shade it. So for these, they're all the same other than trying to scroll the number onto them, because that's important for where you put them on the table. I sprayed them in Army Painter silver paint, I believe it is. I don't remember offhand what they call their silver, but it is Army Painters, and I did it sort of from the Zenithal angle, so kind of angled down and then just kind of spun them. So that's why there is still the base coat shining through, but because they're meant to be like sizzling with blue energy, it actually seemed perfect. And then once that was on, I used a little bit of Nazdrag Yellow to create some tone. I used some Basilicanum Grey on the wires, and then went over everything with non-oil, which is why they're also a little bit shiny in the studio light here. Did the same thing for all of them, and I also did a little bit of Talistar Blue on the, whatever you call these, the Frankenstein bits, you know, I don't know what they're, the electrodes maybe, just to make them look like they're glowing more. I probably should have spread them a bit easier around the outside, but, and the Talistar Blue is also what I did on the inside of each of the teleporters here. So they're all basically done the same. It was just to get the set of them done, you need all 6 done to play, although as I say, you can play without a 3D prop. But I like them. I felt like it made the video more watchable. You'll know for sure, because that'll be up before you see this. But it just fell into this weird, like, week-long period where I was mostly painting scenery, and I don't even like doing scenery, but this was some pretty easy stuff, and I clumped it all together. I'm still painting other characters, obviously, but as far as things go, not much else to say about any of it, I think. Do I have any other scenery to show off? I already showed off the turnbuckles for the Rumbleslam ring, so not really, no. And that's it. That is going to do it for this little aside, and I'll put this up on a day where there wouldn't normally be a video, so don't feel like you're getting cheated with it being so short. It's just going to be a little extra just for the sake of showing stuff off and not getting in the way of what I prefer to talk about in the main getting stuff painted episodes, the next of which you'll see in probably 2 weeks. I have painted some characters, as I've said, not nearly enough yet to do a proper update, but as a matter of note, since this is basically my series for cataloguing this stuff, there you have it. Hope it inspires you to get through your pile of grey shame. Also, scenery does count as part of that pile, unfortunately, but it does. So maybe this has inspired you just for some quick method, like a spray paint just up or down, depending on whether it's lighter or darker than the colour it's in, is enough to create, like, can you imagine that just being a plain brown, but then all I've done is added a slightly darker brown, and it's well, it's a bit too shiny, I guess, which is what I'm noticing from the studio light. But it just creates a little bit of tone, which will help it look better on video, or just make your table look better in general if you're not actually recording yourself playing. Same with just having generic markers for stuff like these, which was my thinking and why I picked them up. We don't talk about these fences, that's fine. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you for a proper update next time. Ta for now.